सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ओम्. Pranam Maharaj, we are privileged to have you with us. So good morning to you all. Thank you very much for joining the session, and that you have expressed a desire to learn about Swami Vivekananda's ideas on art that itself sets you apart from the masses. You have shown your eagerness by sending us questions, and by your overwhelming response, we have come to know that you are very interested and keen to know the subject from Maharaj. So those questions that you have sent over to us, we will cover those during this session. Today, our session is on Swami Vivekananda's ideas on art. Swami Kripakarananda needs no introduction. Firstly, he is a monk who has washed away all his insignificant identities and transcended beyond them. But secondly, most of us are already acquainted with him or his work. But still, for those who are not, let me tell you briefly about him. His first identity is he is a monk, and his last identity is also that he is a monk. But in between comes more qualities that enabled him to serve God in various forms in his monastic life. So he is the doctor by education, a singer by passion, an artist by his excellence, writer, poet, and orator by his own right. So I don't think we need much of an introduction for him as regards. So now let us come to today's topic, which is more important because Swami Vivekananda used to say that we should give precedence to principles rather than to person, and person are valued only when their principles personified. So now let us come to today's topic. Swami Vivekananda's ideas on art. You know, art is a vast thing, and it ranges from singing, dancing, writing, sculpture, to painting, or to even cooking. But our time is limited and will not be able to cover all the aspects of art. So especially we have chosen one particular aspect, that is visual art form, mainly painting. And curiously, Swami Vivekananda has shared his wonderful ideas about painting as well to many of his close associates, and in fact revolutionized the realm of art with his ideas. So today our main topic will be art, Swami Vivekananda, and we will concentrate and dwell on mainly visual art. We are privileged to have Swami Kripakarananda Maharaj with us, who is adept in many art forms that Swamiji has spoken about. And you are already familiar with Maharaj's musical excellence and other things. And those of us who have known Maharaj personally know that he is adept in other forms of art as well. So, Maharaj, my first question is that, so let us start from scratch. Uh, as diverse as an ocean. So, what does it mean to you, Maharaj? Can you point to any common thread passed through all the art forms, just like Bhagavan says in Gita, Sutre Manigana Iva?
It's a wonderful introduction you have given, my brother Amala Chaitanya. So I think it's a wonderful question, and it is a very fundamental question. I should not say it's a scratch. It's a very fundamental thing we should understand about art. And until or unless we understand art from this perspective, we will not be able to understand art as a whole. And what Swamiji wanted to say about art. See, It's a very true in all the forms, in all the diversities, what we see and try to explore. Very important that how we explore it, whether by go by microscopic dissection of the whole thing, or you want to unification of the thing. Now, unification or coming to a general principle of any diversity, of any law, of the universe we experience, is the proper investigation into that sector. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say, in his wonderful language, he who has unified thing is a person, is a man. So unification, finding out the unified theory. Now art, we say, it's an unified theory, unified thing, we cannot define. What we see in art is several expressions. We just go on seeing expressions and expressions in form of music, in form of playing instruments, then painting, sculpture, then all these things, and cooking, whatnot. Swami Vivekananda is to say that there must be art in everything. That is his stand. There must be art in everything. Now, this art is as pervasive as air, which is pervasive through, in and through and out in the whole universe. Art is an appreciation of beauty. We say an appreciation of beauty. It's a representation of the beauty. Now, whether beauty lies outside or inside me, that's a big question. That's why, what is a thread? Thread lies in an appreciation. It may be a fantastic flower in front of me, but for a worm it is a food. For a tiger, maybe it is nothing. For appreciation, we human appreciate art. Not only that, we are moved by art, we are carried by art, we feel ourselves elevated, and we feel ourselves great, peaceful, joyful, stressless, what not, in the form of art. So, art, in general parlance, in common man's word, it may look like different departments of expression, but expressions are but expression. Now, what art inherently means, it's nothing but a higher degree and higher degrees of appreciation of our innermost emotive, empathetic, and spiritual existence. This is a very big thing. I may not know physics, I'm a rickshaw puller, I may not know mathematics, I may not know medicine, but I can appreciate an ocean, I can appreciate a cloud, I can appreciate a color, I can appreciate a music. So you see, it's so universal in nature. It need not be taught. But whether it is good or bad or bad art, higher art or lower art, this is a different thing. But there is fundamentally, nobody is there in earth who cannot appreciate art forms. Why? Because it is inherently connected to his inner soul. That is very, very important. While talking about music in art forms, Swami Vivekananda also said that they who understand it, for them it is the highest worship. Let the highest word go away. Music may be the highest art according to Swami Vivekananda, but the art form, whoever understand it, is the worship for them. So the appreciation of art form means appreciation of our own emotional and sympathetic and spiritual existence, which we do by appreciating art. We may not do by appreciating mathematics because I don't know, you need to learn it. But here you need not learn it. So that is a fundamental, very vague concept I want to touch, that what art ultimately is. What is a thread? Our inner human soul.
Yes, Maharaj, wonderful answer indeed. And we have in this connection, another question from one of our listeners, Rita Chauhan, is in the same connection. You have mentioned about the appreciation, and she asks, The same art can be trash or a celebratory expression depending on the perception. While creating art, what parameters should one keep in mind? It is more about this is one side we have the idea, and at another side we have expression. So while we are expressing, is there some particular aspect that we should concentrate on so that it manifests the highest and the idea of unification that you have mentioned?
It's a wonderful area. Actually, in the preset, I should say, art is a very, very big area. You discuss on for months together, you will not finish it. Because, as I mentioned, it is so universal, so much appreciated by everybody, so much spectacular in nature, and so much diverse in nature. So, exactly how art is connected to us and all these things need to be very slowly understood. Now, the point is efficiency and what she wants to say, I think, the marketing of the art, they're making it publicly available, making it skillful, publicly appreciated by public. But the excellence portion, what is the criteria of an excellence of an art? Now, there comes a very important statement of Swami Vivekananda, a very important statement. It can be proved in any aspect of the art. He says, whenever we do something completely selflessly, we do our best. When we forget ourselves, our all ego, our all ownership, our all showmanship, our all other masks are all our persona. When we get rid of all the persona, then we become a pure self when we are not aware of ourselves. So the whole soul devotes to the purpose. Swamiji says, then we do the best of our work. And cosmologically, spiritually speaking, when a man or a woman gives her or his self completely exposed without any selfish motive, according to in spiritual term, that is the purest form, then it is appreciated by everybody. It is appreciated by everybody. That is a very important thing. People say, what is the success of art? Success of art is completely get immersed in art form. Another important statement Swamiji says, they who can completely, in speaking about music, he said, in performing music, if one can completely dissolve himself in the form, in the performance, then by that he can achieve even the final emancipation. He writes in his Sangeeta Sangraha, in his that Sangeeta Kalpataru. So there he mentions very clearly this tanmayata, this oneness with the art form gives a complete, pure, tonal, pure existence of human mind. And that gives the excellence also. That is the point. So I think for now, one question will come. Is it so that all the excellent thing will be equally famous? Now, if you call the famous portion, there are a lot of controversies. But one thing is sure, that it goes beyond time. It goes beyond time. We can discuss this very aspect later on. This is a very tricky aspect, how the selflessness of an art form percolates the time and mind and diversity and sustains itself throughout the universe in a universal form. That we'll speak later on.
Yes, Maharaj. So the in this connection, I was thinking that as you were talking about emancipation, so it is the central theme of Vedanta as well. And we have also talked about unification, emancipation. These terms are coming, and it is intertwined with the art form that we understand. And also, these things come in has a spiritual dimension as well. And while we talk about Vedanta and this emancipation, we think ourselves to be dissociated from the different sense inputs. Okay, so and this one is concerned with rather the sense inputs, the colors, different shades, and so it has a temporal aspect. It has the it has connections with our senses. And so how come we can connect going beyond senses with the things associated with senses, that is art? But how do we connect this emancipation with colors, with shades, and with different art forms, which deals with intricacies of art?
This is another very big question. Let me start with the other thing. If you read Gita, he says, Sarvadvareheshu prakashu pujayate. Through all the indriyas, when the sattva guna comes, it becomes a manifest revealer. Prakasha means it's sort of a light. It reveals. Now tell me, if you are in a kitchen, you are cooking with say cinnamon or clove. It's full of clove scent. Now if I bring another clove, you will not be able to scent the clove because already you are in the clove scent. And if you add some other thing, other taste will be confused because they are not pure. They are mixed up with other scents. You can appreciate all the scents when you are outside the kitchen, when you are outside the framework. That's what we do in Vedanta. We we close our all indriyas and we try to find out the independent conscious existence which is not clouded by this type of sensory inputs. Now when one can test this, then he can really appreciate what color is, what scent is, and what does it mean. I will speak maybe if time permits about synesthesia. Now what synesthesia means? How come the modern arts came into form? How can the color could be converted to taste to tunes? So these, every input in the universe has all panchandriya inputs. I may appreciate a rose flower by touch, by smell, and by vision, by 3 inputs. But if I let you taste one petal of the rose, you cannot say it's a rose. I blindfold you and do it. You cannot do that because you don't know the taste, you are not familiar. But all the things, I listen a sound, say saregama pa. Now this pa, the synesthetic person will say it has a color, it has a taste. So what we know about Indriya is very limited. In every 2000 person, there is one synesthetic person. And this synesthesia has been exorbitantly and fully documented in our scriptures. If you read Mantra Shastra, if you read our Kundalini Shastras, you will find the Kundalini, the different states of human development, different state of energy, different state of color, different states of everything will come slow. They're parallelly existing. They have been discovered. So, as a Vedantist, when you become really spiritual, then you really come to appreciate what the things actually are, what a color actually mean. When you are bent over to any sort of custom or something, then you don't appreciate it unmixed. But doesn't matter. Even if we are within a custom or something, or a country, or a geography, or a race, all are different. Let it be different and let you manifest in a different way. Does not matter. Ye jathamam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyam. This is the eternal call of the Lord. Means whoever comes in their own specific design, the design is made by me. So let them come in on that design. In art form also, all this is the beauty of art because it gives an enormous universal palette to everybody. They can choose colors and tones and things from wherever they want, but the expression should be selfless, empathetic, and which slowly takes us from the real appreciation of real art, what she called about trash art. Now, how could it be classified with all regards to everybody and every expressions? There is classification. There is class 1 student, there is postgraduate student, there is postdoctoral student, there is Nobel laureate students. So there are classifications, but it does not say that you are low or high, But as Swamiji says, we go from lower truth to higher truth, lower appreciation to higher. Now, where this higher, lower, who is the determinant factor? That is the, you can say subjectively, a sense of complete absorption and complete peace and tremendous satisfaction, which is not comparable by any other satisfaction. So there lies the real strata, standard of appreciating art.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for this wonderful answer. And now we understand how important it is to have a grasp over all the subjects. And you have talked about synesthesia, and you have talked about Vedanta, and you have connected wonderfully how things can be things can be in sync. And you have mentioned about this selfless and empathetic expression of ideas. And you have also admitted that there can be classifications in that expression. So, as a mode of classification, different art forms have emerged in different parts of a globe. Then, West, some forms have emerged, and India also, and maybe the Eastern arts, maybe the Japanese art or Chinese style, uh, different art forms have emerged. Talking about a central theme, and that you have already touched upon that point, that there is one central idea, and this art forms a empathetic expression of that idea. So how can we, according to Swami Vivekananda, uh, what is the comparison between, if we just see the Western art form and Eastern art forms, and see how they're connected with that central theme? So if we can discuss that much. So mainly the aspects of the Western, from a Western point of view, and also from Eastern point of view.
Okay. Art is like a river. It flows. It always flows. It never stops in any point. We classify, we declassify, we support, we revolt against that. So this type of life is always there in art form because it comes out of life. Now, there was a story about a cook, that everybody can cook. And there one cook critic comes and he tastes one food. Immediately that tastes take him to his mother's memory when he was child. And he loves that so much, so much, that all his learned criticism vanishes. And he jumps to take that food again and again. So my point is, we are tuned, we are taught by our childhood memories, by our childhood. Why childhood? Because that is a absolutely guileless and simple and selfless state of everybody. We pass through and we experience something which casts a so much strong impression that we connect with that memory just to connect with that complete state of peace and joy. So with this small introduction, just try to understand. Suppose I make a wonderful Western portrait of a Western person with a long nose, with like that, all features, white color, and put it as a art form in a tribal area of Africa. They were all black people and all have the different type of all other features. So they will never accept it. They cannot accept it because it does not touch their heart. So everywhere, as God has created the geography, the person, the differences, so we are actually celebrating those differences. We are not fighting on differences. We are celebrating differences. We are trying to explore the tremendous diversity conferred by God. That every path, every diversity, whatever differences, and Swamiji says, better everybody should have one single icons of their beauty, sense of bhakti. Because that is the structural uniqueness we all carry. So it is quite natural that everybody will speak in their own language of art, as all are unique. Now, Western forms has a different, now very important to understand is goal of art. History flows, civilization comes and goes. Philosophies come up, perish. People stay, live and die for ages. Now, what is the goal of painting on art? That is very vital. It is connected to the specific geographical civilization, and that speaks of civilization. As Nivedita used to put, that art is used as national awakening, as a tool of national awakening. It can awaken a nation. It can make a nation forget itself. So it must be innate. If you can go on taking different foods, but you will like your native food most. Always. Everybody says, let me have some food what I used to get from my mother in my childhood. So this diversity do exist. Now point is, what is the goal of art? If we cannot define the goal of art, we'll be nowhere. We'll be nowhere. Everybody flows, everybody is different, everybody is doing their own way. That's good. Then what is the criteria by that we can really understand art? Let me give you a small example. That example will clarify this very difficult doubt. People are claiming for their freedom, individuality. Then what is the framework that we can put them to assess, even for our own selves, that what is better? Otherwise we cannot go for a betterment. We'll always claim our own selves as the best, and that will be simply a chaos. As you have mentioned, this egoistic expression of self-acclamation should dissolve in presentation or creation of art forms. Now, let me give you 3 examples. How art is so much embedded, so much spiritual, and so much innately present in all of us. Take the life of Sri Ramakrishna. If you have read his life, it's a supreme person of supreme intellect and supreme mental flexibility and honesty to the core. Swamiji says, Avatara Varishta. Now, his first experience of transcendence, first experience of transcendental reality, forgetting the whole world, even his own body, by seeing flock of cranes against the wonderfully filled of dark, cold cloud of summer. The vastness of the beauty immediately took him to the samadhi. See, second, Swamiji himself, Vivekananda, he was passing through in a cart from some place to other. He found 2 gigantic cliff of rocks are bridged by a tremendously huge magnanimous beehive. Now thinking of the magnitude and the enormity of the beehive, thinking about their tremendous small and slow work for ages together, and the beauty of the vastness, the bigness, Swami Vivekananda fell into transcendental samadhi. Holy Mother, she used to meditate praying to moon of the night, which is wonderfully beautiful. If you experience the beauty of the moon, full moon in the night, it is just a heaven. And she is praying that you make me pure like you. And she used to go and get dipped into samadhi. See, all are triggered by the beauty of the nature. Swamiji had very, very distinctive characteristics he has given. Art should be very much linked and associated to nature, number 1. But it should transcend nature. It should not be a copy of nature. Now, if you go to the details of the art forms, there are a lot of revolutions. This first the classical art form, then came the modernism in Western, the modernisms. So they all went against realism. What is to see? I used to see, I used to paint. Photograph did not come that time. They used to do copy exactly. It's a good copy. It's a wonderful copy. Swamiji says they copy nicely a flesh so that a dog will salivate. Such a wonderful flesh he has painted. But it is a wonderful skill. But so far the art is concerned, just copy of nature cannot be the end all of art. There is a point. Then modernism came, impressionism came. They say, no, 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 no. The lights are entering in your eyes. It's not that you are you are you are copying a rock. You are seeing a light fall in the rock. So nice. So a full class of painters came, impressionists. Then all other experimentalists went on starting, because the art is not an easy joke. You have to try a lot hard on it. You have to do real hard sadhana on that. Now the other forms, abstract forms came in. This expressionism, then cubism, all these isms started. Then action painting, color filled painting, pop painting, all started coming. Then also came photorealism in 1970s. Hyperrealism. Now who are they actually? They are all the revolutions against the realism, against the impressionism. And what is photorealism? You draw exactly what photo says. What is hyperrealism? You paint a highly magnified picture in its form. So these are all skill things. Now what Westerners believe in general, that beauty is there means it's good, or they even say the art for art's sake. But in truest term, art cannot be for art's sake. Suppose you go for eating food. Do you say food for food's sake? You don't say. You select it. So all the rasa, they have their purpose to serve. You cannot select anything and everything. That means you are not in the line yet. But Indian art forms, they are always from the other way around. First, art started as a communication. The cave picture, I know, communication. Then why did they paint for communicating? That's another big question. You see the letters, what we write the letters, they're all paintings on sketches. They gave a sketchy form to the thought. Now the sketchy form, it's a wonderful transmission from a thoughtful person to a communicating person. It's a big jump in history of humanity. But there is a beginning of art. It's not the end of art. Now this impulse is taken in Indian context. We have seen in Indian forms, what we see the art forms nowadays, the Oriya forms, Bengal forms, the Kangra forms, then all of the even Adivasi forms, Varli forms, which has come up very recently in the Bombay Thane area. So all these forms have a very common thing in them, that they are not exactly the copier of the nature. They don't consider copying the nature can be an art. It cannot be so. It comes in music also. If you see very carefully the Western music, it goes on making instruments who are copying of the, say, pipe sounds, some tin sound, and all these sounds are copy. But when you come to the Eastern musical theory, it is never a copy of the thing. We don't copy any animal sound. We don't copy any other sound. It is a sort of imbibing of the whole spirit of it. As we get joy seeing a cloud, we don't become a cloud. We don't think about the water of the cloud. We see the beauty in a moon. We don't think about the rock of the moon. So the beauty part of it, which inspires us, that is neither the water in the cloud, nor the water in the ocean, nor the rock in the mountain, nor the snow in the moon. It is something else. And beauty, always want to touch that. And beauty has its own way of communicating. one most important thing of Indian ethos, so far that is concerned, is we can elevate a person from its lower survival, where he's angry, jealous, all these odd qualities when he have. By art form itself, they can be taken to the higher state of human existence. That is most important. Everything concerns human, be it literature, be it language, be it painting, food, whatever. So human development is directly concerned for Eastern, Western also. But in Eastern development, we see from the Rishi's point of view, who already has seen the final truth. So that I should say pragya, that tremendous intelligence and introspection and the wisdom percolated in all the forms, be it painting, music, and wherever. So I always see that Indian forms are very enigmatic in the beginning, but if you go deep into it, it will catch you completely. What happened to our Mr. Havel? He was once upon a time one of the Calcutta School of Art. He was the head. Now he was a Westerner, but Nivedita went so far to persuade what art is. How should be? We should not copy the Western art. Western should not copy Indian art, and so many things. Going completely against the British rules, British critics, and other even Indian critics. Havel intentionally promoted the Mughal art forms, the Kangra art forms, the miniature arts, and many other art forms in Indian ethos. And that gave the rejuvenation of Indian art. And being an artist only, he could understand this one. So this diversity should be because it is connected with our own physique, own mind. Our body is produced from specific geographical area. So our mind. So that we should not ignore, or we should not disagree with this primary composition of ours. This is our primary composition. And what comes from this primary compositional things is a spontaneity, spontaneous things that can excel, that can really give expression to yourself.
Yes, Maharaj. It's really wonderful that you have brought us into the world of light and to a universal culture. And the word that you have used is that celebrating. We have to celebrate the differences. It's not only tolerating or accepting, but rather going a step ahead and celebrating the differences. But when we are celebrating the differences, as you have said, there are certain points that we have to take note of. There cannot be we cannot copy nature. We should be in touch of nature, but we should not copy nature, and we should express express our ideas in such a way that we can transcend the nature. So in this wonderful uh, world of art, the unification, when we are celebrating the differences, in this connection we have a very good question from one of our listeners, and he has asked about Belur Math, the Belur Math temple. And as we know that the Belur Math temple is a synthesis of different architectural schools, different schools, and it has been as it has been put into a cauldron and boiled into into perfection. So Nirmal Pal, he has asked about the amalgamation of the Western and Indian ideas in the Belur Math temple and how it expresses a central idea. Maharaj, if you can just illuminate.
This is another structural art forms. Now, there are many temple forms we know, which have been existing for ages in our India, South Indian. Um, this, I forget the names. Nagara or some other names are there. So in North India, the temple you see all the picky and conical things comes. In our South Indian temple, it becomes little broader with the top of the Gopuram. There are differences. Suppose the Jagannath temple Gopura, the Amlaka is much broader. It becomes smaller in places. There are a lot of things, lot of architectural differences and variations, I should say. Now, Swamiji wanted an assimilation. we may call it Eastern, Western. That is, we divide. We divide. Art does not divide itself. It's all beauty and beauty. That's all. If you don't teach a baby Eastern, Western, he will appreciate in his own mind. These are the worlds we draw. Maybe the classification helps. It may actually spoil the broth also. Come to the straight point. Now, Swamiji wanted to show two major things. One is universality, which is the central point of it, that Swamiji used to say that the universality should be kept, should be always be kept. Let other values go away, but we should not be giving up universality, but any cost. Swamiji says very clearly. Now, universality is a concept again of a person who has seen the real united state, the state of unison of everything. Now, this is absolute beyond doubt. It's not a conjecture that is to try to unify and try to make the people sit in the same bench. It's an unification. That is not the unification. It may be a museum concept. We put everything in one plate. It's a concept of museum. Museum is not unification. Unification is fundamentally they are unified. That's why you started with Sutra Maniganaiba. There is a sutra which holds all the flowers and make it a garland. So Swamiji, to give it an expression, he had a tremendously strong idea, opinion that it should represent the different cultures also. But it should be unique one. It should not be a mixture. We say it should not be a mixture of things. And thirdly, it should be unique. A mixture may not be unique. So uniqueness, if we see the Brahma temple, apart from the Navagraha Garbhagriha, all the other than the central dome, all the domes, the front, the four-sided dome, other than the conical domes, these domes are all like Bengal heart. Why? Because the God inside seating, the Sri Ramakrishna, he was born in the heart. So the heart is a temple where the God came by his choice. So we must give it a place in the top. But without forgetting the dome concept of temple, which is absolutely symmetrical. The heart is bilaterally symmetrical, not all-dimensionally symmetrical. So all-dimensional symmetry is by dome. Now, there are a lot of other things. Before the Belma temple thing, the Nath Mandir was separate from the Garbha Mandira. It signifies God is separate and devotees are separate. Swami says, though it is actually separate, but it is so much one that he should not keep it completely separate. So he made Garbhagriha to fuse with the Nath Mandira. There is a small thing, small height, one plinth is there, that you can go to the Garbhagriha. Now, point is, these are all very significant things. We signify by this. Coming to the architecture designs, you will see all the traditions has been incorporated. The church, the
I
South
think
Indian
Maharaj,
things,
this
etc.
connected Nat Mandira with the Garbha Mandira is also a resemblance of with the traditions in Christianity.
Now,
This
Christianity,
connected.
no, point is Christianity does never propose in the beginning that God and devotees are separate. We love Christ. That's all. We sit with Christ. But the theory of God, which has been coming for thousands of years, there are a lot of tremendous treasure of experiences, realizations, and truth. Suppose I say, you sit with God, can you become God? If I say God is all knower, do you really claim that? You cannot claim that. So, you know very nicely, there are a lot of philosophical system which very clearly says you can never be God, but the essential part of God, an essential part of you is always one. So this is not the one day coffee table cup chatting you can do on this. This is a marvelous tradition of systems developed for ages, for thousands of years by tremendously intelligent people and brave people. So they have argued and experimented very lot. So there is a portion that I cannot become God. Suppose any Christian people say that can you become Christ? They will not agree. But their purpose of church is not to dwell on those theories, just to sit with seat with Christ. There also you see the Christ pedestal is much higher. The whole thing is separate, though the building is not separate. So there is a separation. So separation, how much separate we are. So there are a lot of other things we have to discuss in spiritual things. These are not exactly art oriented in that way. Of course, the same thing, art is expressed, the spirituality only expressed through art. Everybody is spiritual to whatever degree they are. Even the pop art is spiritual. He's trying to just break through his all frustrations and all everything, and is coming with painting forms, whatever. This is a wonderful jump for humanity, but it may not be the highest art. That's a different issue. Now, what you are telling, a temple thing, and what Swamiji wanted still more, which could not be materialized till now, it can be a sort of a challenge to all architects can be given. Swamiji said that because Onkara is the real primordial sound and which signifies the real God without epithet, which is the primordial source of everybody. We are already in the source. So the temple should be looking like Omkara from the distance. But problem is, Omkara is not a symmetrical concept. Not even vertical symmetry, not horizontal symmetry, not top view symmetry. So how can you do that? Now, there are a lot of the things Swamiji said. A lot of lotus should bloom in the Nath Mandira. These lotus are nothing but the significance. So it signifies the complete blooming of the heart of a man. Complete blooming. All the petal by petal by petal, it blooms and blooms and blooms, come to a complete bloom, which is wonderfully exquisite. That should be filling the whole Nath Mandira. There also the combination of a lamb is being licked by a lion. So the tremendous fury and power and anger is coexisting with the complete modesty and sublimity and softness. Because these counter forces can coexist only from a spiritual frame. No other frame can make them coexist. So that's why it's a spiritual expression of diversity.
Yes, Maharaj. So art is very closely connected with spirituality, and you have told us about Swami Vivekananda's ideas about Belur Math, the Nath Mandira, blooming lotuses, and sheep licking an elephant,
Lamb.
and that is the yeah, lamb licking an elephant, and it's a combination of strength and humility. So we understand that art is very much connected with spirituality, and also this is the cultural aspect and the philosophical aspect that we have talked about. And before going into the more practical aspects, because picture God. So before that, I would like to touch upon the mystic point a bit, and if you just explain that point, and then we can move on to the next phase of our program, that is Kundalini. From the yogic aspect, we much stress is given on the Kundalini system, and we heard that some colors are also associated with the petals that yogis can see. And as we come to colors, and also we deal with colors in painting, so is there a correlation that you think can be seen from a mystic point of view as well?
See, mystic is a word, and to some extent, everybody is a mystic because they experience in their own way. Now, not in the fullest extent. That is the point. Kundalini, as Sri Ramakrishna used to say, we should come to the real frames, and that a person like Sri Ramakrishna used to say that this mother Kundalini should be awakened to have any knowledge. Knowledge means realization. Now, realizing what? The different aspects of human existence, you can say. Now, what is human existence? These are very, very cryptic thing. I think we can discuss in a different chapter, but to be very precise on this point, I can tell you, this Kundalini is the primordial force form which has been discovered by the Indian yogis. Sri Ramakrishna is a living embodiment and example who demonstrated this Kundalini in every moment. If we read you can find it will be sounding very foreign to you. What is this? We have never taught in universities and the colleges so many days. None of our parents told about this thing. But they say this is the abode of all knowledge. There is a force. There is a coiled of primordial force, highly adorable, extremely worshipable force in everybody, where you can really see the, by awakening that force, you can really experience the different states of existence. Now, there are a lot of things we can discuss. Say, Swamiji said, music is the highest art, and to them who understand it is the highest worship. Now, how understanding music make it highest worship? If you go to the Mantra Shastra, you will find there are 4 basic level. The energy should overcome or come through before it become manifest voice. The manifest voice is we call Vaikhari. We speak. But before it comes to Vaikhari, it becomes Madhyama. It is in the mind form. The word is getting formed. Word is a big thing. Word is so subtle. A small change of word and intonation can make a person king, make a person die. Word, everybody will use this word. Now, this Madhyama is not yet expressed. Beyond that, when this word, it goes to mind, when this word goes and takes you to the right empathetic realization. Suppose I tell you one sweet, say what sweet? Or say biryani, veg, non-veg, whatever biryani. If I say biryani, if you don't taste it, you don't know nothing about it. It's a word. Now, if you know that, the word goes back to its form of word with its associated idea. Now, if you eat that biryani, then you again reconnect the word with the taste. It's a different thing. So we can understand there is strata of understanding. It happens so quick. We forget, we miss the whole chemistry, how it is happening. Now the yogi says the music, it comes to that, goes to Madhyama, goes to Pashyanti, it can go to Para. These are 4 box. Para box means you can realize the tone which is happening in the cosmos. We call it Nada. Sri Ramakrishna says this Nada is Anahata. There is no collision which can give rise to this sound, this uncollisional sound. What yogis say, Ankara. And Sri Ramakrishna says it's always emanating from the Brahman. So similarly, a sound can go. Color also can take you to that. There are color gradations. So these Vaikhari, Madhyama, Pashyanti, Para, these box happen in different chakras of the Kundalini. That is very important. What is a chakra? Is it a chakra? Is it a lotus? Swamiji says these are the energy levels. Plexus. Plexus means always it's a complicated thing. Plexus means complicated. We find in anatomy, which is found, there are a lot of plexus, which is very illy understood, which lies like a knot of small threads in front of all abdominal organs, aorta and everybody. And they really, if you can study properly, it corresponds, maybe, Swamiji says, it corresponds the chakras. And these, when we have tried to understand the neurology of this plexus, it is so complicated, so much inputs and so much self-regulations are there that it is not that simple. It really regulates a lot, very much things. Even in our martial arts, there are a lot of plexus hitting areas. You can hit the plexus and kill a person. That also is there. So, it regulates heart, lungs, kidney, flow, everything, breathing. How it controls? We think it does not. Big nerves are there, but there are small subtle things which are associated with sympathetic, parasympathetic, autonomic nervous system, not motor system, not your volitional system at all. Now, to bring them in volition, is the real secret of Kundalini. You bring the unvolitional things into volitional aspects. Now, these stages of color also is the same. This has been discovered. Now, I was talking about synesthesia. I don't know people, if you are not aware of this thing, it is simply, so there are persons who can really tell about, say, that if I give him a tone of sare, re or gandhar, then he can, listening to that gandhar, he can say it tastes like lemon and it colors like yellow. It is not just a poetry he's speaking about. It's not a poetry he's doing. It's not imagination he's doing. He's perceiving it. As we perceive tastes, perceive colors. So there are perceptual circuitry in our brain. There are a lot of savants, Savants you have heard of. Savants means by injury or something, they turn to open up some genius in them. There are few savants. Now there are savants who have experienced this. He was nobody. After a brain injury, he became an excellent artist and applying color which nobody have applied. So they have understood that we have immense capacity in our brain which can open up this type of circuitry. And I told you in the beginning, this Kundalini has given up an exhaustive blueprinting of what possibility of human is there. And generally speaking, the people who really transcend these things, they, according to Swamiji, they pass through all these experiences. These darshanas of different states, we can find in our hymns of gods and goddesses, Rukma Varnam, then Kanakambaram. This, some person is red like a sun, some are white, some are yellow like a gold. How it is? It's not at all a concoction of personal imagination. It's the vision, it's the empathetic thing like we perceive. So there are perceptual stages where you can perceive colors, and we can then only connect to the human appreciation and the expression in the right tune. As a very good cook can connect the taste and appeasement with the salt, sugar and all these things. Everybody cannot do that. And there are stages of connections also. Everybody can do that so nicely also. So similarly, everybody can taste it, definitely, but everybody cannot become a cook. Similarly, or with a lot of hardship they can become. Simply they cannot become. So that empathetic understanding of color is similarly connected to our energy levels. One of the very big artists I have met, he used to say, very old, almost 8 years old, he used to say, see, before painting one art, you must imagine and imagine and imagine, and you become full of energy. This full of energy and one-pointedness only bring out this painting. One cannot just go on making strokes and few things what people likes and it becomes a painting and sold in high price. That is not a painting. That cannot be a painting. So this is a very important area, this energy level of energy and one-pointedness, which makes the thing properly, it becomes a conduit. Your inner self become a conduit. You can express it. And also, art forms, people say, this is painting, I don't know. I am an artist. I am a singer, I don't know painting. But it is not that so. Whoever has really explored this real system of energy, real system of our, who has gone out of the frame, the real spiritual experience, he can see things as they are. They don't confuse. As I was giving example in a kitchen, you will confuse with taste because we are already in a taste. In a green room of green walls, you cannot appreciate a green cloth nicely. So you have to be away from everything. As we say, the canvas should be white. White is an abode of, an expressor of all colors. If the canvas itself is green, then you have to think of painting. You have to make a lot of modifications. So the mind should be as white as everything, so that every dot of color, every dot of expression is properly located, properly isolated, and properly respected.
Yes. Thank you again, Maharaj, for beautifully explaining the system of Kundalini and also how it is connected with all the senses. And it is really reassuring to know that we are not living in cut and dry compartments. All the senses are mingling together, even physically in the plexuses, and it goes beyond. And as you say, the canvas should be white. So our vision is fixed on that white unification of things. We can, in a more holistic
Canvas should
way.
be white. Canvas should be white to appreciate everything. It is not a mandate. You can paint on different canvas, but
Yeah,
the
true.
only white canvas can give definition to what is what for defining the real thing.
So that is the
as
benchmark that we
as we are
should go by.
talking as we are talking that we should not copy nature, it's not exactly so. We should copy nature in the beginning, otherwise we'll not know what is what. But transcending nature happens when we really know what is what, then we can only cook properly, no?
Yeah. So, Maharaj, now we will go to the next phase of our program. So we have covered these things, that philosophical aspect, cultural aspect, and even mystical aspect. But now we know that you are an adept painter as well, and we have some of your paintings. So we would like you to explain some of them so that our viewers can uh, see that what is the meaning that lies beneath the canvas. So would
Okay.
you? Yeah.
Okay, then we can show that Sri Ramakrishna's face. There is
Okay.
one idea we wanted to explain. If you can, we can see it, then we can understand it. Mm, if you
Maharaj,
can
you see it?
enlarge, I cannot see it properly. Okay, I can see it now. Okay, now you zoom on the face first. You see, it's a peculiar picture with a black face within a black thing. That okay, zoom off the whole thing. Zoom off the whole thing. Whole thing. Now you find what? Let me tell you. No, no,
Sorry.
not this one. This is a sketch.
Yes.
So this is a painting on water in a handmade paper. Okay. Now what we wanted to do is we give a spiritual expression. It is not. It's a combination of realism with some other expressions incorporated in it, with some iconographical importance. Now, what is the iconographical thing? We'll tell you. See, there are a lot of dark colors. Generally, black is not used by many painters, traditionalists, to make paintings in black. There are a lot of blacks, but not black in raw. Now, see, there's a river is black with lot of whirlpools, having a lotus bloomed in it. It is going very much tortuous and twisted and
Mm.
going distant to mingle in a ocean. You can see the show the tortuosity. You just enlarge the river tortuosity, the bends in the distance. You can see if you can zoom it.
Yes. Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah, see the tortuosity of the river. It is going and going and going. There is a boat. The boat is dead black, but there is a light in it. Small fire is burning, and on the top of the boat there are two birds. You see, the two birds are there. One is sitting, one is flying, trying to sit on it. And you see the bank. Come below, come below, come below, come below. Below you come. So a little below, and there are banks with small flowers of variegated colors, not that prominent, not that bright, but the lotus in between is very bright, with other lotuses also going to bloom, and they're full bloom and they're bright with their colors, but they're blooming in the dark water. Now uh, go above little, go above. So there is ocean and there is a sky. There is a sky also, which is a sky of dawn or dusk, whatever it is. It's a mystical type of thing, which may be a dawn, maybe a dusk, because the reflection in the water of the pinkishness is not exactly like a morning or evening. It is something like surrealistic, which is a different heavenly light is falling on the water, because this much of watery glare will not be there in the morning or evening. And above that you can see it goes to a very pitch darky bluish sky, which there is another face of Sri Ramakrishna. Now you zoom it off. I will tell you the significance we wanted to uh, uh, draw through this thing. You can zoom off. Now this tortuous uh, river is the representation of our tortuosity and complex life form, which is full of blackness, full of unknown, full of adversities and pollutions, and full of wheels. These wheels and the ripples say that these are ripples of dark water. Banks are full of lush green. Now, the banks cannot move. Water can move, but banks cannot move. They give rise to flower. The banks represent the worldly people. They live in the side of, they grow in the side of the water of the samsara, and they bloom flowers of different colors. But those colors are very minute and non-prominent colors. But the thing who struggles inside the samsara, the lotus, it really gets the juice and it can bloom to its beauty. The struggle of life gives rise to the real manifestation of our internal talents, not just sitting in the bank. You get flowers of smaller sparks of the talents and manifestations, but they are nothing in comparison to the lotus. Now the samsara, where it leads to, is it all dark? It is really dark. It flows and it is tortuous. It is bendy. Ruchina Vichitrat Rijurana Rijukutila Nana Pathavisham. So Kutila path and Riju but both are there. And see, it's so many bends are there, so many diversities we find the samsara. There is a boat. The boat can flow on the water. The boat is the sadhana, our sadhana, our endeavors. Where there is a flame burning, the flame is that signifies the life. It is not a dead boat. It's a live boat, which can really take you beyond the samsara, the complexity of the samsara, where it can take you to the ocean, which is infinite in nature. It can take you to the infinity from the dark waters. And there is some person, there's a living thing is there. We can say it is a mantra, we can say it's a Guru Kripa, we can say it's a Mahapurusha, we can say an ideal, whatever. Now the birds are the jivas. They can also sit, they can fly. They fly here and there. But when they find this flying is useless, I cannot cross the ocean. If I sit on the mast of the boat, I can really cross the ocean because the boat can float on the water. I cannot fly so much on the water. So it's trying, one is trying, the endeavoring jiva. Another is sitting, he has got a complete conviction about that. Now what about the sky? The sky is, see, with a little bit of tinchy pink, which is the real, it is not the real sun, it is the unreal sun. But though it is unreal, it is coming from sun. So the sun rays, which we cannot perceive by our naked eyes, we can perceive only when it is refracted in the forms of colors, in the dawn or sunset. So this is signifying the real formful aspect of God. According to Sri Ramakrishna, this is a Sakara Brahma. We can see the God only when it is not real, when it's reflected through. So that is the significance of this pinkish, which is making the water also pink. The veritable infinity, what we can perceive, also is embedded or engulfed by this. Tasya vasa sarvamidam vivati. By the effulgence, everything is made effulgent. Now, why the blue? Blue is not a color. If you go to the sky, is it a color? It is not a color. There is no color. So blue is a sort of significance of blue and black is a significance of distance, infinity. The infinity is signified by blue. Bluish black. Now this Ramakrishna, who is also a formful person, but without form. Gunajita Gunaja. So he is also as if taken a form from the infinity, in the color of infinity, but still with a form. So it's a blackie. Now, if you zoom on the Thakur's face, on the Sri Ramakrishna's face, you zoom it. Zoom it still more. Still more, you zoom it. And a little bring it down. See, the eyes are made very much prominent, as if it is leaving. It is not a cloud. It's not just a conception. It is leaving, as if it is speaking to you. It is full of tears. So the Sakara is not an imagination. It's a true existence from the devotee's point of view. So two infinitudes meeting each other, and this infinity, which is the sky, which has really no end, even in physical form, that can signify a god. So this is the significance and story behind this iconographical representation, are the forms or different objects which can culminate. Now you will see in this painting there is a proper treatment. This treatment is something everywhere you can say it is the touch of the same artist. There are schools of painting. There are many. There's like say one is Dadaism is there, or the revolt Dada, modern Dadaism, postmodern Dadaism. So there is sort of collage things. They use anything. Suppose face of a person half cut, then there is a picture of a dollar. There is a bloodshed, some splash of color. So there is another treatment. We try to mingle treatments, mingle different ideas. Like we go to restaurant and order dish of say some Mughal khana, something, some Oriental dish, some Chinese, some Thai. So we try those things also. It's a development. But I should not say this is the pinnacle of art forms, because these are all revolutionary forms. All the people who are the classical artists, they say these art forms comes and go. They come and go. They don't sustain because they cannot sustain the test of truth. Now you bring the sketch of our Sant Haridas. No, that is another water, this wash painting. You just show that one. That no water. This So this is just a crafty representation of the profundity of cloud. The cloud is formed. Now, it is not exactly what we see cloud in reality, neither a photograph, but we have taken the elements of beauty from the cloud, elements of grass, element of water, element of that ripples before the tremendous storm. These things we bring. You just zoom in the boat, zoom in the boat, zoom in the boat. You will see the boat is silently like a surrendered piece of nature. It is surrendering itself, though it is human made. It's not natural, but we are putting this boat. It is a very common practice to use different articles as a one with the nature. So we have tried in the letter artists have tried in that line only. You saw the horizon in that way. The on the other side you see the ocean. There also we will see this side, that side also, that side, other side. Horizon. The horizon, if you see.
Yes,
The
Maharaj.
horizon part. Horizon.
Yeah.
Zoom in the horizon. Zoom it. Zoom it this way.
Yes. This way, Maharaj.
This way. Still, see, we have tried to show a life in that. It is not still. That the storm have started. Now,
Okay.
putting life in a different stories in a picture is an important responsibility. It's not. And also, now zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. Now see the absolutely barren tree, which once upon a time was a full lush tree. It is also expecting some rain to get some foliage, get some life. So this is a cry of the nature, maybe the rule of the nature, maybe the beauty of the nature of different coexistences. The dead tree or half living tree and the lush tree, lush grass and greens, and the completely filled up river and enormity of the clouds. So this, though it's a natural thing, but it also represents our mentality, our cry. So what you think about cloud, what you like to be in cloud. So these all things are incorporated. Now can you give the felt pen sketch of the Radha Krishna and all these things?
Yeah. Yes, Maharaj. Is this the one,
Now
Maharaj?
Yes, yes, this is one. Now you see in this felt, you just zoom in the that you see these trees. You can zoom that the trees backside of the our Haridas Swami who is weeping and crying by darshan of Radha Krishna in Nidhuban. Now see the tree forms. They are bent like human psychology. This is a very old use in Kangra painting and other miniature paintings. Lot of uses this there. Exorbitant uses are there, as if trees are also speaking the same emotion. But no photography of the tree goes like that. Sometimes it goes. But this is very important. The whole picture will speak of the same emotion. And we feel like that also. You come down to the below, there is one small figment of tree with a squirrel. You just come down there. See, here, we just give it a full view. Full view. No, just
Zoom
slide
out.
it. That's right. That's right. Now see, the Radha Krishna is a vision that Haridas Swami is getting. Now, this tree fig, that twig of the tree is bent in such a beautiful rhythm of devotion and submission, as if the tree, which we think to be an inanimate or half animate object, it also having its own expression. Now the beauty is the squirrel. It's an animal. Now squirrel stands like this whenever they get something very interesting. Otherwise they are very fickle minded. So they are the squirrel is standing in a folded beauty of sport, which signifies the vision of spirituality. You can zoom that in the Radha Krishna forms, which is coming out. The mythology, the legend goes like that in Nidhuban, the Vigraha of Bake Bihari came out of itself. No one carved it from any stone. So this is the power of devotion and creation, which we can incorporate in a painting form by different treatments, so that it will automatically speak of itself that it is a vision. It's not a dream or hallucination. At Sri Ramakrishna says that, yes, I can show you. When Narendranath asked, can you show me God? He said, I can show you if you listen to me, my instructions. So he can show God, means it's an objectification of God, we can say. It's not a subjective maneuver. What many contentions say, the spirituality is a subjective, brain problem, product of the brain, product of the chemicals. Surely it is chemical. You are eating and smiling and loving and hating people. These are all chemicals. Do you find them chemicals? You find them love, hate, enjoy only. So we don't define our own life as chemical. I have no responsibility, no right to explain other thing as a chemical. Chemical is a very mundane word. But thing is, there is a not only subjective feeling, it can be put to its cosmic level also. So these can be signified by smaller treatment of the whole picture. So there are a lot of such examples are there. You can show the Saraswati. I will show something else. You come to the lotus. Come down. This is a lotus treatment. You will find a similar thing actually from the Abhinandanath's painting, Abhinanath style, which is highly appreciated by many as a real representation of our Oriental art style, which is not a copy of Western style, and which signifies our inner beauty and their skill also. You'll see this is not the lotus look like, but it is an artistic representation of the lotus. So artist, how it find the, as I told you, what is it? It's a paper and color. It's not lotus. But what I want to do is, I want to make it appear like a lotus, but not exactly like a lotus, because I don't want the unnecessary part of the lotus. What I want to impart to you, the beauty part of the lotus, the rhythm of the lotus. But there are a lot of rhythms you can make out of a swing lotus. Now, if you go to the neck of the that side, You see, there is a, if you just come scroll down, or from up to down, you scroll slowly, that side only. You see this color, this is called part of wash painting. This olive green has converted slowly to the pink color. This slow conversion, now we use Photoshop. We make all this smudging, we are feathering, we do, but that is not the right thing for an artist to do. For an artist, it is equally important that he pays his labor also to produce the effect. Then you can use photography, you can use some other spray painting. That is not the right classical way of Shilpa sadhana. The sadhana, the tapasya of Shilpa, which really can elevate you in person. Then it needs your involvement in full, not half involvement, not copycat involvement will do. So similarly, this type of see, you just little zoom off, and this neck and the background, we can see, you can see that slit portion. The slit is little below. The slit portion of the left hand side, you can see, if you cut the whole slit in a small section of longitudinal column, you can find another painting is hidden there, where the crane is crying in the sky, and the whole lotus is forming from distant to distant to distant. It is going in a haze way. So, you know, one important thing is that Albert Einstein used to say, the most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious things. And he says it is the source of all the true art and science. This is the quotation of Einstein. So the mysteries, when you are intrigued and spellbound and awestruck, then only you can really delve into your own existence. So our art, one of our aim of the art also is that we evoke this type of experiences in others, so that we can, you can say, we can dive deep into the human psyche and spirituality. Spirituality can be touched by colors. That is the point. If you see, I have seen many such paintings, but it is not common for everybody, because everybody has different tastes. It can be evoked by different paintings to different person. But these likings can evoke the spiritual depth, ignite the spiritual depth of a person.
Yes, Maharaj. It is indeed beautifully you have explained, and it is really, we are awestruck, as you have said, that there is so much into painting. And when we see these paintings and we don't really see through them and don't see those aspects, and as you
That
have
is the problem, that we are accustomed to see the nature, accustomed to see the photography. Nowadays photography is going on like a wildfire, but painting is not photography. Painting is not copy. It is an expression of the internal things which evokes something higher. It evokes something higher is a different thing altogether. See the green I have used in the below portion, it's a different green. It's an
so
olive
it needs
dark green.
of our eye. It needs a
So
training.
there are a lot of things we can understand. Of course, there is an eye training is there, and not only eye training. This is the power of observation. We must know how to observe things. Now, portrait. So come to the portrait of, say, portraiting thing. Portraiting means always say the portraiting of, say, Sarat Maharaj. You can give Sharadanandji. Yes. Sarat Maharaj was actually little squint. He had a squint in his eyes. He was some eyes was problematic, but he was an embodiment of motherliness, love, and tranquility, and all forbearance of the highest of the yogis. Now we find this picture, but portraying what I've always thought. Number one, you should not make it a graph paper and point it and paint sketch. You should develop the skill you can do without any framing. Without any framing. Number one, this is skill portion. Second thing is, you must give the emotion in it. If you see the photograph of Sarat Maharaj, there the smile is not there this much. There is a different mood is there. But I am trying to make Sarat Maharaj, Saradanandaji, as he was in his real self. What is the real beauty of Sarat Maharaj? Now to depict it in portrait, we actually try to do that in portrait. Portraying means that. It is not even again a photography. It is very difficult if you have dealt with portraying things. A small notch, a small scratch, a minute millimeter scratch this way, that way, makes a huge and huge difference in facial expressions. We all do that. When we quarrel, when we love, when we chat, when we sneer, when we disdain, we make our tremendous amount of facial expressions so accurate. We don't know that. But a painter, especially a portraitor, has to know them very, very in depth, very much in depth, and then only he can really, and also understanding what is going to depict. Now, there is the responsibility of a painter. I may be a very skillful painter, but I am always painting an angry face, always giving an unspiritual face. So that is another painting, very skillful painting. If I say Mona Lisa, the highly adored painting, it is a height of skill, height of mystery, but I should differ to say it is not a very much elevating in sense. There may be a mystic smile, but I cannot say it in extremely developing and elevating thing which can elevate you. Can it elevate you from a misery? If I say and ask I say a female counterpart, a lady artist, that are you happy with this lady face? Are you feeling peace with this lady face? They will say no, it's a contextual painting of a specific mood. That is okay. But truly speaking, painting always have its very important purpose. That's why I say we see the worldly painting, the least skillful painting in our Indian context. There is Adivasi painting. You will see the small people in it too. The small sketchy outline of people standing in array form, making some songs or enjoying in the night. Even a child, even a man of depression can immediately appreciate, immediately can listen to the joy and music around the fire they're having in the night. So, very important responsibility of a painter is not only skill is highly appreciated, and responsibility what the import is very important. Our Nivedita is to put one specific saint's picture where she is onlooking the whole city with bliss and prayer. And Nivedita was almost absolutely a saint with tremendous energy and compassion. And she used to keep that picture to give her back the inspiration always. So it is not only the beauty which matters. How much it is with you, that matters. So like that, there are a lot of things. All the painters know these things very carefully. Now, another thing is cartooning. Cartooning is another very, very hard part of painting. Keeping all characters and giving it a distortion. It's one of the very tough area of painting. Now, I have been with a lot of painters. I have been privileged to a lot of painters living with them, like say Vishwanath Chakraborty, Purnachandra Chakraborty, then Chintamani Kaur, many other. We have many other monks also. They are very good painters, sculptor. So I've seen, and in Sri Ramakrishna himself was a painter to give the eyes, Chakshudan of a Pratima. The toughest part of it, he used to called in the village. He used to give now he used to even prepare the models. He used to paint also. He used to sing also. See, he has never learned. Point is, the art comes from the same source. Their expressions of different. There may be a different language, and the language are again universal in nature. You need not learn. It's not like French. You have to learn French and speak. It is there embedded in everybody. Now, how much you can do that? That's why Swamiji used to say that in this music, in this drama, there is the Vidya is embedded which can give you immediate mukti. If you can attain to the perfection of complete absorption in it. So complete absorption is the goal. Ultimately, human matters. If you show a painting to a dying man person, will you be happy? My question is this: everybody is happy when he's young. It's not only a temporary celebration. We want to celebrate the whole painting, whole art form, which will not contradict at any stage of our life. So, as we know, our ancient wisdom goes, Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam. These four varnas are not human torture and classification. It is the stages. And we must understand the stages. We must appreciate the stages with so much profundity that we can celebrate them without telling a lie. We should not lie. We should not tell a wrong story to celebrate it. We should take it from lower truth to higher truth. We should always take to higher truth. If you see the paintings of post-death experience paintings are there, they're sort of a horrified thing sometimes. So this whole journey of art, journey of painting, journey of civilization, journey of realization, journey of spirituality, they are intertwined. It will give us entertainment, but it should mandatorily always elevate us. That's why Swamiji says, where there is no bhava, there is no elevation. That cannot be a painting, that cannot be an art, whatever you do. So this says about the responsibility of painting also. The painters should understand this responsibility. They have huge role to play. If you cast Sri Ramakrishna to go to the nataks and this Grish Chandra Ghosh play, but the play has a big role to play in the society. It is seen by everybody. So degradation of civilization is earmarked when you fail to give the higher thought processes in all the aspects. A play can incorporate paintings, music, scenic beauty, auditional, visual, everything. So all the things are the journey towards the unfoldment of inner potential divinity. But we should help in doing that. Now question comes whether contradiction is another helping. So that is a different issue we can discuss in a different mode. But this is a primary responsibility. We must know the prestige we get by painting and everything. Always carry a cross of responsibility. If we are not responsible, we will not only we will not remembered, but will be cursed by our posterity. So it should be human. It should be elevation of humanity. We must know the elevation of humanity. The best saying goes, Swamiji's, each soul is potentially divine. That is the earmark. That is the main cornerstone by which you can measure the greatness of anything. The more it helped me unfolding this divinity is spirituality, is reality, is higher painting, is higher music. That's all.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for this wonderful, illuminating discussion. And we just wanted that it went on and on. But what to do? We are in this temporal world and we'll be measured by time. So we have to live in time and we have to uh, we have to go beyond, of course. But for the time being, we have to come to a close. But really, throughout the session, we have come to know various aspects of art, and also how art is connected with other forms, how visual art rather is connected with other forms of art. And again, all those forms of art, how they're connected with the central theme of spirituality, and how in the practical life we can manifest that divinity. As Maharaj has rightly pointed out, the benchmark is that our potential divinity, as Swami Vivekananda has said,
One
that
small thing
each
I want to
soul.
say. One small thing I want to say. Maybe last, Swami Vivekananda being and tremendous, empathetically so much profound person. he could describe, there are two descriptions come when he speaks about the painting of Krishna of Gita. He says the Krishna is an embodiment central figure. The banished hero, the completely destroyed, crumbled down hero Arjuna. Now, how in that state the bravest person in the world is pulled from his despair? Now, the person Krishna is not only all knowing, he's a full power, full compassion, and full empathy. Now, this whole character should be brought into Krishna while he was depicting, speaking about this thing to an artist. Then he said, all the muscles of the Krishna are angrily up, but well composed, and his face is full of tremendous transcendental serenity. This combination, he says, then it becomes an art. Then again, the Ratha, the other things should always corroborate with those times things. Otherwise, it is a perish of the history. Then again, he speaks about the tremendous mothers pictured to Ranoda Babu. He was another great painter. That how the Kalida mother, now, the mutually different contradictory characters of the Godhead, the whirling clouds, the tremendous bloodshed, the tremendous destruction, along with the compassion. Now, well, we don't know what he spoke, but Ranoda Babu was absolutely spellbound. He said, I've never heard like this, that painting can be thought in this way. So Swamiji had conversations on the paintings, and we can very well understand that Swamiji was a past master in this painting and appreciation of the painting. So the art, what to speak of other forms of art, Swamiji was himself an exponent. One small incident I will tell and close. Once he was roaming in the Maharashtra, one of the exponent Drupad musician was singing. Swamiji entered in his room. Then there was no Pakvaj playing. So Swamiji just wanted to play Pakvaj. He told, yes, you company. Then the singer was an exponent singer of those days. He understood this Swami, this monk is not only playing Pakvaj, he is singing in Pakvaj. See, he said, I saw you are singing in Pakvaj. It is not a playing of Pakvaj. Then he said, after singing, can you sing? Then Swamiji said, I can try. Then he wanted to bring another Pakwaji. He said, not necessary. I can play Pakvaj with music. This is a tremendously unparalleled talent, very rarely found, maybe 1 or 2%. So that is the excellence of Swami Vivekananda. He was a monk, all-renouncing monk, but the flashes of his talent spellbound the king's court and everybody. Who not? Even the Westerners. They were spellbound. So what I'm telling is, Swami Vivekananda on art, he is an artist by nature, he is artist by creation. One person told Swamiji, why you are so beautiful? Showing his physique. Swami Vivekananda said, it has to be because God has loved it. See, God is creating beauty. God is coexisting with beauty. These are the important indications. We must understand beauty is not entertainment. Beauty is the very nature of our Satyam Shivam Sundaram, which is Satya, which is Kalyan, that is Sundar. So that aspect we must not forget. That is very important.
Thank you, Maharaj, because in the last portion, at least we could touch upon certain facets of Swamiji's personality, and that is connected with music. We were actually receiving an overwhelming number of questions on music, but as I have told you in the beginning, that we will confine ourselves to the visual form of art in this particular webinar. So we actually avoided answering those questions, but it is Swamiji's wish that he has come in. And indeed, it gives a holistic idea of art, as we have already discussed, and we wanted that it went on and on. We had many questions from our viewers. During the in-depth discussion of the topic, Maharaj has covered almost all the aspects of the questions. So I refrain from mentioning those questions, because then it will be repetition. But Of course, you have our contacts, and if you want to ask Maharaj questions, after that, we will open up that option for you. You can drop your questions, and I would like to uh, convey those questions to Maharaj, and Maharaj would like to answer them, because that you are listening to this webinar, viewing this webinar, as we have said already, that you have put yourself apart from the masses, from the crowd, because to appreciate this idea of art of and the ideas associated with Swamiji, we need a certain degree of subtlety of mind that we all have. I congratulate you all for attending this wonderful talk by Swami Kripakarananji Maharaj. We hope fervently that will have revered Maharaj with us in the coming sessions, and we can discuss some other aspects of Swamiji, some other aspects of Vedanta, art, and there are many other things Maharaj is expert at. So there will not be any dearth of subjects. So for today, I would again like to offer my humble pranams to Maharaj on behalf of Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda Cultural Center, Shillong, and my pranams to you, Maharaj, again.
Pranams, pranams. Stay well, stay safe.
Same to you,
Om.
Maharaj. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.